So for doing moxa, usually people have problems with two things. Number one, they feel they don't have the dexterity in their hands, they don't know how to do it. And then they feel that it's time consuming. So in terms of time consuming, you have to accept that it takes time. It doesn't take as much time as you think it does. In terms of dexterity in the hands, the biggest mistake that people make is they want to make the moxa tiny. So what they do is they squish it and try and make it tiny. See how tight my hands are? And then what happens is you have a teeny thing of moxa. It looks tiny, okay? But it's tiny. But if you like this, it has all the sweat from your hands and it's very compact, so it burns very strongly. So tightness doesn't matter. Okay, size doesn't matter. You don't need to make it so small. Bigger is not the end of the world. What matters is how tight the moxa is. So we don't want to make the moxa so tight, so small, that it gets tight and then it burns too strongly. The patient should feel it as constantly as possible. Obviously, you're burning a little piece of moxa and then it goes out, then you're burning a new one and it goes out. So there's going to be a fluctuation, but you want it a curve that's fairly constant as opposed to spike, nothing, spike, nothing. So you have to be able to put the cones on. As soon as one is out, you want to put the next one on and light it. So you want to get your hands situated in such a way that you're that you can do it all in a small amount of space. The big thing is keep your hands loose, keep your hands clean. So you really have to wipe your hands all the time so you get rid of the sweat from your hands. So let's look at what we're doing. The moxa itself is what's called 100% pure gold moxa. It's something like $100 or more at OMS for 100 grams. It's expensive. The burn cream, I use Shionko. Most people prefer Shionko. You can use other burn creams. It protects the skin. It protects the person from the first one or two moxas that are burning, and and it also stabilizes. It gives you a place to put the moxa on. So we have the incense stick. Most people prefer thicker incense sticks. I actually happen to prefer the thin ones. They're scentless. And light it up. Now, what will happen is, most people prefer to hold it on the left hand, but it's kind of uncomfortable to light it with the left hand. Hold it in your right hand. Some people can actually hold it like this. But for me, I feel more stable this way. Now, I'm right-handed, so if you're left-handed, you do have to do exactly the opposite. I pinch some amount of moxa, and I roll it lightly with my right hand and transfer it to my left. Now all I do is I pinch a teeny amount and land it on the point and light the moxa. And I'm ready to snuff it out if I need to. So I pinch, parachute it on the point, and light. Okay. Pinch, parachute, light. Now, what I just did in lighting was not the best way. The best way to light it, now notice, they look small, but they're bigger than if it was really tight, and I could make them small, but it will be ouchy. When you light, you try and do a motion like this instead of going like, if you go like this, they feel the incense stick. So you want to light it almost with the side of the incense, if you can. That's why a lot of people prefer the thicker incense sticks, because you see how big the burning part is? The thicker incense sticks are not going to have as much burn there. Nandi, are you feeling anything?
Nothing.
Nothing yet. Okay. So we could go bigger. Okay. Now, since she hasn't felt, say this is burning a little too long. Yeah. So you can snuff them out between your two fingers, and then you can clean your finger off. Don't snuff them out by pressing them, because then you're pressing the heat in. Then I can light this one again. Well, actually, yeah, a little bit, yeah. There's still some left. Sorry. Nice. Are you okay?
Mm.
A little bit. You're not so happy. Okay. Okay. So the person that complains, if you can see that they're jumping, what you need to do is snuff them out and light them again. Some people love it, some people don't like it so much, so that's why if you keep snuffing the one, so if you can make teeny ones, still make sure they're loose. You can't make teeny ones, that's okay. Make larger ones and snuff them and relight them. You can relight, you should not have them that big that you're relighting a Moxa, 1 grain more than twice. It can be lit 3 times, but not 4 or 5. That begins to be too big. That's a whole different technique, which some people do. Okay. So when you snuff it from the side. Don't push the heat in. And then make sure that cone, first of all, make sure that the cone burned all the way. Don't light a cone from the bottom. Okay, if it's burning, don't put another cone in. That's very hot. So it should feel would you say it's relatively constant? I mean, there's mosquito bites every so often, but...
The mosquito bites is really all I feel.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, that's fair. So what happens is if you hold the incense stick with the left hand and you put this down, then you transfer to the right hand and then you light it up again. It's a lot of time. Now, there's a lot of time that passed.
Ooh.
Sorry. Ooh. Okay. So you see, and then you don't have the time to really take care of the moxa itself. So you want to be able to work fast, which means in a small amount of space, your hands just stay there. And then the next one's ready. It's basically there. It's there for you already. Okay, that one was a 4 one. Okay, so let's try seeing another point. So we'll try your immune point. So again, we put the shionko on. So just a little bit of burning. You don't want too much of it. You don't want too little either. But if it's too much, it spreads. Then your fingers are going to touch the shionko. And if they touch the shionko, your fingers are dirty. If your fingers are dirty, the oil goes into the moxa gets too hot. So you kind of... And the 2 things I keep doing, I blow on the incense stick to get rid of the ashes, and I keep cleaning my hands, making sure that they're dry and they're clean. So it's kind of like a meditation. The hands are loose. I'm not snuffing anything. I'm not pushing anything. So very, very loose hands.
This is a real different sensation.
Than the leg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is more comfortable.
Yeah, I can feel it. The other, and the leg, I just felt the bee stings.
Okay, so you can...
Yeah, this feels nice. This feels very nice.
Yeah, so different points will feel different for different people, and sometimes it's a little sharper. Sometimes it's more like constant heat. It really is okay both ways. Generally, we say the person should feel 6 to 7, which I think you felt quite a bit more on the leg because we were talking so much. So clean the fingers. Take a little bit of moxa, roll it lightly, transfer it to the left hand, and then just pinch. And it doesn't matter how much you pinch, because if you pinch too big, you can snuff it out. Most important thing is light. Light in the hands, and so the moxa is light and clean. Whoops, sorry. So, that's one of the things you don't want to do. If it didn't light immediately, take the incense stick away, even if you lift the moxa cone with it. Because if you hover, if you do this, you're hovering, light up. They're going to feel the incense stick, the heat from the incense stick, rather than the heat from the moxa itself. So you want to be able to just parachute and light. Whoops, okay? Is that all right?
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. Sorry, it wasn't totally extinguished. Okay. So that's basically the technique. Very simple. And in terms of which points, certain points call for moxa. So If a point is element on element, like spleen 3 or lung 8, it's the element on that element's channel, that will be a Moxa point. Anytime you find a dent or a hole, for example, on like spleen 7, sorry, there's a dent here, or let's say liver 5, no you don't have, but often people will have a dent on liver 5, yeah, you do. So this dent, a dent or a gummy, we tend to use Moxa on it. And then we have some, empirical points that call for Moxa, like large intestine 15 is a Moxa point. Liver 5 is definitely a Moxa point by name, because you want to burn out the termites. It's a worm that's in the wood channel, so you want to get rid of it. So that, you see that edematic thing, that will be something you want to do Moxa on. And for a lot of if cold feet, we do Moxa. If the feet are cold, especially say liver 1, autonomic nervous system disorders, we will do Moxa on the feet. We don't do as much okyu, this is called okyu, direct Moxa, on the abdomen. Sometimes we do. Generally, if you're finding that if the skin is cold, we will do okyu. If the under the skin is cold, that's when you do Kyotoshin. You put a glob of Moxa on the needle, yeah, and then it kind of stinks, and it's less pleasant. Although OMS has these nice, smokeless Moxa things that you can put on. But basically, this is done to dissolve connective tissue. It's not considered necessarily a heating mechanism, even though we use it for cold feet. But it's mostly used there's this quality of tissue in the connective tissue that we want to get rid of. Immune point, by the way, is standard Moxa point also. And then you have Moxa points that are named after moxibustionist, that a specific moxibustionist used. So, you have Sawada large intestine 2 for eyes. So Sawada was a moxibustionist. Fukaya gallbladder 31 for sciatica. That's a moxibustionist point. That was his point. So in reverence to that, we would tend to do Moxa. We believe that Moxa is more effective, but sometimes you find that needles are effective. So that's Moxa. Thank you.